This is the fastest way anyone's ever beaten Pokemon Emerald without glitches. If you've never seen a tool-assisted speedrun of a Pokemon game, then you've missed out on a whole otherworldly experience. What lies ahead in this video is a world unbound by the limits of RNG, and it's one that humans could never dream of replicating due to the fact that all the inputs done during a task are generated by an emulator that can rewind, save state, and perform perfect inputs that are controlled frame by frame to get the best results possible. Meaning you could do some super weird looking stuff to save time, like this instance where the TAS avoids fighting two trainers entirely because of some super weird movement and bonks on the Mach bike, while a human will have to do this instead. Many things like this NPC bag freezing trick, or even save and reset RNG manipulations for perfect stats, just aren't worth it for a TAS, because a TAS can be perfect from the beginning to the end of a game without investing the times humans need to in order to make an RNG based game like Pokemon somewhat consistent. And it's in this difference that we can easily see when comparing the speedrun times of a human versus the speedrun times of a TAS. The fastest time a human has ever beaten Pokemon Emerald without glitches is a 2:29.51 by Wave Warrior as of this video, while the TAS speedrun is done in 2 hours, 12 minutes, 33 seconds by Goddess Maria. Goddess Maria is a very prominent figure in the Pokemon speedrunning community and TASing scene, and what she developed here is absolutely magical. Much like a human viable speedrun, the TAS will both pick the girl and Mudkip because they're the fastest options available. Mudkip is dominant in every Pokemon game it takes on due to its bulk, power, and water ground typing that is only weak to grass Pokemon, while picking May as your character gives you easier rival fights. From the moment the TAS starts up, you'll notice these very small things like the cursor being moved around like crazy during the naming sequences or battles. And it's all because this is a sign that the TAS is about to land a crit frame or align RNG elsewhere in a theoretically perfect way. And it's also one of the bigger reasons why humans could never replicate this speedrun. A good example of when you'll visibly notice that RNG is being controlled is when the TAS enters the first rival fight. They'll get 0 encounters without a repel, take some of the longest possible paths you can take inside of the grass right before the rival, then immediately double crit his Trico into oblivion. And it's stuff like this that makes a Pokemon TAS so special, because you can see what the perfect outcomes look like inside and outside of battle. And it doesn't stop there. You'll see 0 encounters until the forest, crits on every trainer that doesn't die without one, then finally a trip inside of this trainer school. The trainer school is normally considered time loss for a human, but for a TAS, going inside here for Quick Claw is very ideal, but won't be needed just yet. The TAS will first have to enter Rustboro Gym, where the first trainer will be fought for just enough experience to learn Water Gun on Mudkip, then leave us with just enough HP to keep Torrent activated for some nice boosted water moves for Roxanne. Roxanne has 2 Geodudes that aren't a problem, but Nosepass will be, since it has an Oron Berry equipped and a potion from Roxanne that will be used if it gets to a certain HP threshold. And the way this problem is solved is with Torrent and a crit. After a very convenient Rock 2 miss from Nosepass, Torrent will give this Mudkip just enough power to keep Nosepass above Oron Berry and potion healing range, but also low enough for a Quick Claw critical hit boosted Water Gun to KO it, leaving humans in the dust once again since they have to suffer through Roxanne's healing unless they get a lucky crit. It's then here where the TAS will catch an Abra without save and quit manipulation in order to teleport all the way back down to Petalburg for a trip straight into Dewford. This is where Mudkip will take on Brawly immediately instead of delaying him like a human would, before once again performing a fight that humans could only dream of doing. But this isn't even where the interesting stuff happens. What you want to see is the part after beating Rival 2 and the gym leader Watson with our critical hitting Quick Claw proccing machine of a Mudkip. However, what you might also want is access to more Pokemon speedrunning content like this video by subscribing to the channel. With the 3rd gym completed, the TAS will now proceed to run instead of bike up towards Route 112. But why are they running instead of biking? Well, like all things the TAS does, it's for a good reason. In order for that good reason to show up, the TAS needs to run, then walk, zigzag, and run once again inside a fiery path, all to obtain a godlike Machop. Machop is quite an interesting specimen of a Pokemon for a speedrun setting, because it can't even evolve to its final form, but what it does have is the ability Guts. Guts is an insane ability that boosts a Pokemon's physical attack when it becomes status. This includes all statuses, such as burn, poison, paralysis, sleep, or even being frozen if you thaw out while using Flame Wheel or Flare Blitz. But at this point, we can't be status by any trainers unless we fight an optional battle, which the fastest Pokemon Emerald speedrun would never do when a better solution exists. And that solution is this. For a Lotad with Stun Spore. This Stun Spore activates Machop's ability, giving us a nice Guts boosted Machop with Quick Claw. And it's only because of this item that we can really show the power of Machop while it's paralyzed. And since this is the perfect Emerald speedrun, we'll never get paralyzed unless it saves time, like on this rival fight where Brendan's Pelipper goes for Protect. And the abuse of paralysis doesn't stop there. Axie, Flannery, and Norman all go down to either a couple of crits or a small bit of setup with X items. And all of them get taken down by this small, measly little Machop that won't evolve until the Weather Institute and doesn't even need to when it's a Guts boosted quick attack critting machine, rivaling even the great Black Belt Hideki's infamous Machop from Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. More on that in my Alpha Sapphire video if you're interested. But for now, back to the TAS that's absolutely dunking on everything that breathes. And for good reason too, since we make it past Team Aqua inside of Weather Institute, where you might just notice that the speed of the text box we're about to clear changes to be slower. This isn't a cheat code or anything. In fact, it was set on purpose from the very beginning of the game. You see, when setting our options for a speedrun, fast text box, battle animations off, and set mode are no-brainers in a human viable speedrun. But for a task that might want to manipulate a Pokemon stats, having the option to make the text go by slower or faster manually is very ideal. This becomes useful when we receive Castform in our party. Normally, Castform is a terrible Pokemon with a neat weather gimmick that isn't great either. But for a speedrunner, it becomes an amazing tool for double battles, where even humans will find this Pokemon useful for those purposes, and it couldn't have shown up at a better time. You see, both Winona and Tate and Liza's gym have unavoidable double battles, and while you could fight these trainers as a single battle, it just ends up being faster to face them both at the same time, especially with a task that just manipulated Castform stats and is ready to go. And will now proceed to become one of the most hilarious and useful Pokemon I've ever seen in a Pokemon speedrun. And to explain how it's used, I want to go through the hardest gym fight in Pokemon Emerald, the Tate and Liza Gym Leader Battle. The 7th Gym Leader battle against Tate and Liza forces you to always bring 2 Pokemon no matter what, making Castform the best option, even with Pokemon like Marshtomp ready to go with Surf in the back. Why, you might ask? Well, it's all because of the normally pathetic Powder Snow. Powder Snow has an awful base power of 40, which is the same base power as Water Gun. But there are 2 effects that separate it from being as basic as Water Gun. The first is that it's a spread move that hits 2 Pokemon at the same time in a double battle. And the second is that it can do this. By equipping Quick Claw on Castform before Tate and Liza, the task can now guarantee that Castform outspeeds all their Pokemon every single turn, even at a low level, which lets us focus on setting up Machop while Castform uses Powder Snow to outspeed and freeze both of their Pokemon at the same time, giving Machoke free reign on each and every one of them after a single X attack. But Castform's not done just yet. Castform will need to freeze one more time on the incoming Lunatone as Machoke KOs another Pokemon on the side, and the cycle continues over and over. Machoke KOs one Pokemon, Castform freezes the other, giving us a nice clean victory against the hardest gym leader in the game. And it's not just this fight that Castform freezes on, it's every double battle fight, because freeze text is much faster than when a Pokemon goes for a move, making it the obvious choice to go for when taking on any threats. But nothing will be a threat for Machoke from this point forward, with a Quick Claw, Guts, and crit boosted moves like Karate Chop, Strength, Earthquake, and Fakati. Not the boss fights, not the final gym leader, and not even the Elite Four or Champion. We can even skip Rayquaza because they just die, one by one, falling to the feet of this insane Machop that started off this insane tool-assisted journey. If you'd like to see this beautiful piece of work in its full glory, check out the links in the description. And check out Goddess Maria, who just finished a task that beats Pokemon Emerald's entire battle frontier as fast as possible. And if you want more Pokemon speedruns explained, subscribe to me and check out the playlist on the right for more videos like this one.